evening, everyone, and welcome to the Real Science Exchange, the pubcast where leading scientists and industry professionals meet over a few drinks to discuss the latest ideas and trends in animal nutrition. We've got a treat here tonight. We've got Dr. Anna-Kate Shoveler with us from Guelph University. She gave a talk today at the IPPE Pet Food Conference called Feline Nutrition Report. So, Anna-Kate, welcome back. This is not your first time to the pub, and hopefully not your last. Why don't you kind of give us just a real quick overview of yourself, your program, and then the talk you gave earlier today?
Sure, thanks. First of all, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure. Always a blessing to be with Eric Altom for a little while.
If nothing else, it's entertaining.
Every time, every time. Let's see. I did my undergraduate in animal biology at the University of Guelph. Then I went to the University of Alberta, and I started in a master's, transferred into a PhD, and finished a PhD there in nutrition and metabolism, focused on the pig as a model for the human.
Pig. What about the biology? Was that just kind of just straight biology, human biology, or animal?
Oh, I did. Sorry, for my undergrad?
Yeah.
For my undergrad, I did an animal biology degree. And in fact, it was the first year that the University of Guelph had an animal biology degree, which they separated from animal science so animal science a little bit more targeted to practice in agriculture, and animal biology a little bit more targeted towards research. So I had to take more biochems, I had to take more calculus, more stats, all the things that kind of gear you up a little bit better for research. And that is indeed where I landed in grad school, and fell in love with amino acid and energy metabolism, and just the research enterprise and how we advance society with research and learning. After my PhD, I went back to the University of Guelph and did a postdoctoral fellowship in comparative nutrition. And that was funded at the time by Procter & Gamble Pet Care.
Oh, nice.
So at the end of that postdoc, I was actually going to stay in academia at that time. I was destined to be on my way to a U.S. university.
Oh.
And instead, I decided to go to Procter & Gamble Pet Care, or the IAMS company, where I spent 8 years with P&G, 1 year with Mars, after the acquisition of the...
So you live in Ohio?
So I lived in Ohio, not that far away from Eric. Could be problematic sometimes. We definitely have some really fond memories of our time spent there. Our son was born in the United States, so he thinks that he can go to university. He's now in the 10th grade, and he thinks he can go to university wherever he decides in North America at this point, because he's a dual citizen, so he thinks this is great. But after the acquisition of P&G Pet Care, that was when I went back to academia. Okay. And since then, I've been focused on building a pet program at the University of Guelph. I think I've done a pretty good job. I focus on cat research, and that spans now, from micronutrient research and its effects on energetics. We're doing behavior work. Right now we're doing gestation, lactation work with fatty acid ratios. I also spend quite a bit of time in cats on amino acid requirements, and we've looked at, and also with my close colleague Adroni Verbrugge, we focus on sulfur amino acid metabolism and methyl compounds, which we're going to talk about a little bit. And I think then on the dog side, while I do quite a bit of work still in beans or pulse ingredients to diversify the protein options for the pet food industry, my program's definitely is being strongly tilted towards sporting dogs and service dogs, but honestly, because they're underappreciated, under-researched, and so amazing. And serve us at a capacity that I think they deserve our time, attention, and our research dollars. So that's kind of where my program is now. At the University of Guelph, I We're about to launch a pet food minor along with our food science department.
Nice.
So
that's needed.
Yeah, it's going to be really tremendous for the Canadian pet food industry, but then pet food in general. So our plan, may be a little bit more similar to the program at Kansas State, is that we're dovetailing some of our food science options and some of our animal biosciences options to kind of give to the students who are really interested in pets.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a lot more. We have a vet school at Guelph. And so a lot of our animal scientists who do animal science or animal biology as their undergrad, they go on to vet school. But I think we can all, we're hanging out here. This is bigger than Pet Food Forum. This is monstrous. The opportunities in ag for our graduates are amazing. And I would like more people to consider agriculture as a career. And that includes aspects of the pet food industry.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, excellent. And so you gave a report this year at the conference. What were three of the key takeaways, key themes that you covered there?
Yeah, so I talked quite a bit about energetics, and I focused on a couple of things that I felt the pet food industry always needs to keep in mind. So the first thing is when we quantify how much energy is in a food, the way that we're currently calculating it, which is what most of the industry is doing, vastly underestimates the number of calories available to the pet. Then we have followed that up with doing, I'm a nutritional biochemist, and so I do a lot of titrations. So I never want to do two diets, one with and one without. I want to do multiple levels of a nutrient so we really understand what that effect is. And so we did titrations with protein, and we did titrations with total dietary fiber. In the case of protein, as you increase protein from 23% crude protein up to 41% crude protein, what happens is the cat gets better and better at harvesting the energy at every stage. So they can harvest more digestible energy, they can harvest more metabolizable energy, and they can harvest more net energy. So that means they're really good at getting the energy out of protein. And they're really good at getting the energy out of protein because they're obligate carnivores.
Yeah.
Right?
It's evolutionary.
Right. So we really have to think about that when we're thinking about diets to help cats maintain their weight. And that's kind of where we can dovetail into some other micronutrients like the sulfur amino acids and choline, carnitine, and creatine for the cat. Then the other piece of data that I presented that was new was we increased total dietary fiber from 9 to 15%. And not surprisingly, it did the exact opposite that protein did. So as you go through, it did not alter gross energy, but it did alter digestible energy, metabolizable energy, and net energy. And fiber decreases the ability of the cat to harvest energy when you're increasing fiber. And that makes sense because we already do that. Our weight maintenance diets and our weight loss diets all contain more fiber for satiety, but also to reduce the availability of the energy in the diet.
Are there any unintended consequences of that in a feline diet?
Well, we did not hit. We were concerned about that, actually. Our base diet came back with a lot more TDF than we had originally planned. And the reason for that is we didn't get complete starch cook on those diets because we processed them on a single screw rather than a double screw. And what that led to is more resistant starch. And I have a lot of mentors that I phone and say, "Oh, this has happened, and I don't know how to proceed. Should we run this study?" So I phoned some people really good at fiber. You might figure out who those people are. Explain, and they were like, "Woo, 9% resistant starch. Feed it and find out what happens." And we fed 9 to 15% total dietary fiber to cats at about a insoluble to soluble ratio of 4-1, and we didn't see anything deleterious in terms of stool quality, which is where you would primarily first look. Cats didn't lose. We did short-term study, only 2 weeks per treatment. So we didn't see any weight loss during that time, but we do alter food intake to ensure that the cats are maintaining weight as well. And I because the short term, we didn't have to do much of that. And other on the protein, other than controlling a little bit of weight, so the exact opposite happened, right? The deleterious might have been on the high fiber, on the high protein diets. They had the propensity to gain weight on the same amount of food. So we just have to manage weight a little bit as we change energetics, and so we do that from leg to leg.
How big of a deal is obesity in cats?
It is the biggest nutritional problem for cats, and it's not just that cats are overweight and obese, it's that being overweight and obese leads to a numerous amount of other comorbidities or diseases.
Yeah, like in humans.
Yeah, exactly the same in humans. And it's not surprising that there's not a focused academic veterinary nutritionist that isn't working on weight loss or working with a pet food company on weight loss clinics, trying to be able to help those patients that come in with other diseases that would be best managed by the patient losing weight.
Yeah, interesting.
So really, you can tell by a lot of movements within the pet food community or the pet health community that weight is a target. I'll be interested. I can't imagine someone's not working on. I've heard about GLP-1 agonist for dogs, but I imagine that cats won't be far behind. I would hope someone's developing that too. But of course, I think that we would have to do the due diligence of understanding how those drugs changes, like cats and dogs are a little bit different than humans. Humans can give a lot of feedback in terms of their health. So that'll be an interesting conundrum if pharmaceuticals gets involved in this.
Yeah. You see yourself doing some of that kind of work?
I definitely am a food girl. And in a physiology, like the other aspect that I talked about, or the other study, which is published that I talked about, was a study where we compared 1 and 4 times a day feeding exactly the same food to cats, and exactly the same cats in a Latin square design, which is a crossover. And it matters how many times a day you feed your cat. They have a completely different physiological response. So when they're fed 1 time a day, it appears that they actually may have improved satiety and increased ability to burn fat. And that would be really important for weight maintenance and weight loss.
So it kind of makes sense, though, right? We're finding that in human nutrition as well. People are doing intermittent fasting, right? You're getting a lot more, less insulin resistance, those kinds of things. Yeah.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Or time-restricted feeding. There's, if you get into the literature, there's some nuance to both. And then I think the one difference that would be employed in pets is not ad libitum.
Yeah.
Like not as much as they want to eat, like I think still controlling those portions. And we have to remember that, and I understand this, the pet food owner sees enthusiasm around eating a food as a point of quality for that food. So palatability is really important, but we also override some hedonistic cues when something's really palatable. It's like why I can't open a can of Pringles without finishing it, right? It's not that I mean, I'm starting to do it uncontrollably when you get some of those things that you really taste, or dark chocolate I can eat way too much of as well. Yeah.
Dr. Chevalier, I just realized we do have a co-host here, Dr. Eric Altom, and he's not being very Dr. Altom-like. He's been very quiet so far, and so we need to make sure we bring him into the conversation.
Well, no, I agree with what Kate's doing, and I think some of the information shared today was also around the behavior. So we saw some information right now in the industry, and all you have to do is open your email, and you're going to see articles about one of the growth engines in the, not just the North American, but the global pet industry is feline nutrition products. So that may be diets, that may be specialty diets, that may be supplements, that may be treats, but that's one of the major growth engines that has been called out for 2026, 2027, certainly over the next 2 years, maybe even as much as 3 or 4 years. So the information that Kate shared today was around some of the energy utilization, but then also some of the behavior characteristics that I thought was very interesting. One of the things that I had a question about, Kate, is as we're looking at these, we increased protein, companies are often using these Atwater calculations that are referenced in the AFCO manual, which is the guidelines for us here in the United States, and other countries have adopted versions of that. And that goes back to the NRC that was published in 2006. But those equations having a bulk density, a calculated ME, and then to some degree an activity constant tells you here's how much you feed per day, whether it's in grams or whether it's in cups, whatever unit you want, per unit of body weight. Should we be looking at doing something different with our Atwater calculations? And I know we can't independently, but that may be something as a scientific group we bring to the regulatory bodies. So we need to start looking at these differently, because we know cats aren't small dogs. I mean, that's just it from a physiological standpoint. How would we go about looking at some of those equations, or should we start looking at some of those equations and calculations differently?
Yeah, I think, you and I were talking earlier, Eric, about the need to do, whether that's scoping reviews or meta-analyses if there's enough data. I think that probably where academics can spend some time, because it is a bit laborious, and it is to do a meta-analysis as an example. Even a scoping review is quite labor-intensive, a very, very focused work. And I think that the data to argue that the modified Atwater is inappropriate for the diets on the market today. And I think really in the case of the fact that part of our largest growing market is fresh, minimally processed diets, this one equation does not meet our needs. Now, we don't have a lot of data on the energetics of raw and freshly cooked, as an example. But if we were to revisit whether it should be modified Atwater or something else, there is enough data, and it's largely in agreement. There's very little that does not suggest, or there's none that suggests the modified Atwater is accurate or overpredicts. It absolutely underpredicts energy density. And so I think maybe looking as well at some maybe harmonization with some of the other regulatory bodies. So, for example, FEDIAF has a different approach and are using the NRC equations. The other thing is that we don't have a contribution for total dietary fiber, as an example. And we know that total dietary fiber is providing nutrients that are needed for energy metabolism, but we just ignore it. Right. And I think we could do better and be more precise. And I think that also leads us, when I use being more precise, when we're more precise, we're also going to learn more about the cat and and separately about the dog. But we want to know about characteristics about those animals so we can get closer to precision nutrition in dogs and cats where we aren't today. But we are getting to that point in agricultural animals where we are far more targeted based on physiological responses of the animal, how we should feed them. And I think we can do that in dogs and cats as well.
Oh, absolutely. With the poultry industry that's being showcased here at IPPE, there are very, very specific, very, very tailored diets for every phase of growth, not in months, but in weeks.
Yep.
This phase is going to have this amino acid profile. The next 3 weeks is a different amino acid profile so that they know how to optimize the growth, in this case, growth of that bird, and get the best nutrient utilization out of them. So,
Yep.
Yes, in production, they've done great work.
But did you know that that queens and bitches can also do that? That you'll get, and I think a lot of this is known in the dairy industry, although they're, fewer teats and less calves. But when you're looking and not allowed to suckle for as long, but in the case of cats and dogs, there's different nutrient content at different teats for different kittens and puppies who choose different nipples, quite consistently the same nipple. So the Mother Nature was already doing precision nutrition, which I find fascinating.
Yeah.
Now that's news to me. Now I know that from a behavioral standpoint, puppies, if they're sufficient, puppies will select one teat, and that's where they'll go to primary, maybe not 100%, but certainly a high percentage of the time. I know that there are nutrient requirements of the bitch during those phases of gestation. Most of the time, it's going to be increased fat and increased amino acids to help maintain her body condition so we don't sacrifice that. Same with queens. Didn't know that we were, segmenting based on, what that animal may need during the lactation cycle. That's incredible.
That you're getting different composition on different teats.
Yeah.
So suggestive of it meeting different nutrient.
Sure.
Yep.
And is that based on intake? Or
I would have to go and not our research, others in very old research. There's not very much. Intake, I think, was the biggest driver, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But then there was an individual component.
Yeah. Interesting.
Interesting.
That is interesting, huh?
Yeah.
So we're milking queens right now, and my honest answer is that we're not getting all the teats.
Yeah.
We're pooling it, so because it's hard.
Yeah.
And queens are mean.
Yeah.
Milking a cat. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So these are the typical conversations Kate and I have had throughout our career. She would walk into my office, knock on the door. Hey, have you ever milked a cat? And I'm like, okay, what's the punchline to that joke?
Well, we were doing some research with a lady down at the University of Maryland was milking mice.
It's
I hear they don't like it.
small hands, small fingers, and a little bitty jug, I guess. Don't drop it. There's not a lot. So
Exactly. We used a microcentrifuge tube,
yeah. I mean, but that's the type of interesting things that we need to understand if we're going to make some of these neonatal diets optimized. That's what we're striving for. Is not close enough is good enough, but how do we get optimal nutrition? And what does that look like? And we do know that it can change for the bitch and the queen during those stages of lactation in order to maintain their body composition so they can then maintain the litter.
You were talking a little bit about precision nutrition, and I think that's all well and good as long as, we can get the food just right, but then we hand it off to a human, it's going to feed the animal far too much. And so can we manage that through the diet as well with the fiber?
Yeah. This is a great question. I completely agree because there's really nowhere in the nutrition industry that has the similar problem. You could argue parents'
Right.
rates, but not as long and not as targeted as what we're doing with dogs and cats. I think, and I talked about it a bit at the very end of my presentation, there's an opportunity that no one is taking, which is how do we manage our dogs and cats? So your point is great. We know it really well in egg nutrition.
Yeah.
I can make a perfect diet, but if I deliver it incorrectly to the wrong animal, in the wrong housing, in the wrong feeders, with the wrong partners beside them, it doesn't matter whether the diet is fantastic. So how are we helping pet parents make really great environment choices? And I think we have work from some behaviorists and welfareists that help to support that, but we don't have a lot of physiological data informing us how we should feed, right? Back to the, is this a cat that should be fed once a day or 4 times a day? Or should they have food out all the time? And then are we giving them enough advice when they're one that's a food out all the time? Hey, by the way, that food should actually be dumped out and replaced, frequently, and some foods maybe more often than other foods, but we don't supply that information either. I do a little poll in my pet nutrition class asking people, show of hands, how many people wash their dog or cat food and water dishes every day. And
my wife.
Your wife, great then. I'm super knowledgeable about it. And I think I do better with food dishes. I should.
Yeah.
I bet you 2 times a week I wash our cat's water. And I should be doing it more. Like, what's the big deal? I should just rinse it out every day. So just little things like that I think that we're not talking to pet parents about.
Yeah.
Would really help, and would also help them connect with their dog and cat, which we already know is the center plexus of why this entire industry is growing. The human animal bond, that is, it's not that individual bonds are growing, but more people are growing those bonds and that appreciation. So we need to teach people how to manage pets.
Yeah.
Because we're not doing that right now.
Yeah. The futurists in me can't help but think maybe there's a technology or AI solution in here somewhere where a cat goes into a feeding station and gets weighed and understands its feeding patterns and go surfing.
There's a lot of fascinating things, right? Like there are people working on whether you can tell the emotions from a picture, whether there are AI algorithms that can give you immediate feedback on the weight of your dog or cat.
Yeah.
So it can then inform the feeder to alter that, which is what we do in ag animal nutrition,
yes, exactly.
right? Yeah. So I think that we're going to start seeing a lot of cross pollination, and I see, especially with the automatic feeders and the automatic waters, a real surge in that metric. Everybody wants, I have it. I look at the water, specifically the water intake of my cats. Now that we're doing water intake, I'm just fascinated. They get fed exactly, they're in the same environment, they get fed at exactly the same time, but separate. And yet, my one, everybody, if they have cats, I have one gorgeous, smart, stoic cat. And she's within 5 mLs every day of the same water intake, same time of day, same amount of water. The other one was a rescue, and she's just... She's a bit crazy, very active. She's almost caught as a kitten is kind of what I think. And she'll go from 50 mLs in a day. The next day she'll be 200. And I don't know why. And I'm going to keep
might be
watching
social
it.
pressure, something going on.
Yeah, could be. I'm concerned that it's indicative of disease progression later.
Oh,
you're right.
But I don't know that, just to be clear.
Yeah.
But why would you not do, we tend to see consistency in health. So if you're changing all these other things in the environment, you'll have some consistency in health. And why is she so erratic?
Yeah. Well, we did at the AFA Pet Food Conference today, and I think you're doing some podcasts with the speakers. We did have a panel discussion about artificial intelligence, different platforms, adoption of those platforms, and where they're going to come from. One of the things that people may be interested in is Kate is known for her amino acid metabolism, amino acid work, sulfur amino acids, and then other methyl donors that can aid in maintaining body composition, aid in weight loss, things of that nature. So I didn't know if you wanted to share. It's not every week, but it's been a pretty steady drumbeat here the last 8 or 9 months. Your lab has been putting out some publications and in this area. So I didn't know if you wanted to give a synopsis of what you've been doing and how that would apply.
Yeah, some of that's, I collaborate quite closely with Dr. Adroni Verbrugge, who runs our weight loss clinic at the Ontario Veterinary College. And she is focused historically, was very interested in choline. And the reason she's interested in choline is that as cats lose weight, one of the risks is that they develop hepatic lipidosis. And choline is necessary for packaging the fatty acids and getting them out of the liver, as I don't have to tell the two of you, but for the listener, very, very important. Of course. So she does a lot of work in choline. I did quite a bit of work in carnitine. We brought some of those together. There is benefits on energy metabolism to both of those. There is hepatic health effects of choline in particular. And more recently, my lab has started to do some creatine work. First in the cat, and those are about to be submitted as well. And the reason we were interested in creatine in the cat is that creatine is completely destroyed in extrusion and retort. And so we purposely went to look for to see if we could provide precursors. So if anybody is familiar with creatine, they know that guanidino acetate can be used as a precursor for creatine. But the spoiler alert is not in cats, and we have no idea why, but they eat GAA, except for a couple of them tolerated it and immediately vomited with no other health effects. It was still, now we have some theories that we're throwing out in the manuscript, but just a fascinating conundrum the cat is. And so I think we're going to pursue that work to try to really understand what was that difference, start looking at those individual cats. And then we flipped and we're doing creatine work with sporting dogs. 'Cause that one was an obvious hanging fruit, right? Especially police dogs. It's about muscle mass. It's about power. And creatine could not only help muscle and power, but it also helps cognition. So
that's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
So if you're over the age of 50, you should be taking some creatine.
I am.
It's quite well supported. Yeah, me too.
It goes in my water every morning.
Oh,
so,
you do water? I do the.
There's no flavor to it.
Tablet.
If you get the, there's 2 different kinds, and the one tastes bad, the one doesn't taste at all. Forget which it is. I was just wondering, would it work for cats, putting it in the water?
That is a great idea. We did not think about that, and we love water. That's a great idea. I might steal it, actually, if that's cool.
It's free.
Okay, we'll give you a call when we do the study. We'll involve you.
Come back on another podcast. We love you here. You've done great. I love this.
Well, we'll have to figure out, because we'd also talked about some of the behavior things, and we know that some cats like still water. Some cats won't drink unless it's moving. So there's a lot of apparatus for water circulators. We have a colleague, and her cat wasn't consuming a lot, and I said, I don't know if this will work, but let's try it. And so this is something that will circulate the water, actually add some air, not necessarily oxygen, but add some air into the water, and the cat seems to prefer that water is circulating. Versus,
do we know why?
No, other than they're cats. I mean, and I don't mean that derogatory, but cats are very different.
Mysterious.
They are in their behavior. even in colonizations and managing colonies, their behaviors are very, very different, and it's not just always a hierarchy, but it's who can actually get along with each other.
Yep.
And some just don't get along for whatever reason. They just don't like each other. But then others will not stay separated. They're as thick as thieves. So, but yeah.
But there's no general rule.
No,
is the problem. Like, they're not as consistent as other mammals. They seem to be very variable in all of their preferences, in how they elicit relationships among each other. I think the other problem is that most of the cats that we all get, like very few of us get purpose-bred cats. We get rescued cats, right?
Right.
They're being, because when they
somebody had a bunch and given them away.
Exactly. Yeah. And so what that actually means is we completely missed the socialization window of those kittens. And so it's not really surprising that the feral cat that we have in the house, who wasn't socialized properly, except for my son, who she arguably kind of grew up with, right? He doesn't not get bitten. I get bitten every single day.
Oh my.
She's just, everything that she doesn't like is a bite.
It's your problem.
Yeah. No. And because she, I mean, we have to watch her very carefully for all those signs as well. But she wasn't well socialized, so she's a little bit more dangerous to be around. But we could I think we probably also have to really think about that too. You were talking about colony cats versus in-home cats. I think the other thing is, of course, colony cats have generally been purpose-bred. And so that means we've followed all these protocols. They're the highest house, but that's actually not the cats that we're feeding.
Sure.
Right? And so we probably should be doing research with rescued cats rather than purpose-bred cats. And that would also, I think that would improve the outcomes for those cats as well, when they go to their forever home as well. So I think that there's opportunities here to improve the behavior of cats, but they're so
independent.
Weird.
They're independent. They will do their thing, and I've always told people, when it comes to dogs and you switch a dog food or whatever, a dog will eat in 3 days. A cat will starve itself just to prove to you that it can. If it doesn't like the food, it's not going to eat it. The vast majority, and I know for those that know me, and I'm going to get a lot of texts and things from cat people that I know and have tremendous respect for. Eric, you're not just painting with a big brush; you're using a broom. So there's always exceptions, but those cats are very unique, and they're very independent, and they think in that way. And if something's not right, they have unique ways of telling you it's not right. And when those behaviors come out, people that share their lives with cats, they're very in tune to it, and they can pick up and they realize, okay, well, I may have done this, or this may be some type of illness. We need to have my clinician take a look at it. So the behavior is very unique, very fascinating.
Yeah.
Very, very fascinating. But again, cats are not small dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, metabolically, physiologically, psychologically, they're just not small dogs. They're just a unique, fascinating species.
I think that they're the psychopath of the mammalian kingdom.
I'm not going to be so bold to say that. But
are we talking
they
about
have to be
all cats, or is this kind of indicative of the entire
you
feline?
can make a friend with a psychopath, though.
Yeah.
So it's not that they're psychopathic to everyone.
Right.
Right? So if you're their friend, you're going to be okay, but they're still a psychopath.
Yeah.
Right? They'll still kill indiscriminately.
We're going to get emails after this, and I know where the first two are coming from.
What's your email address, Eric?
Yeah, we're not giving that one out. These two ladies already have it. One is in regulatory, one is in marketing. That's going to be the first two emails that I get as soon as this out. So,
But they're obligate carnivore. Don't forget, they're predators.
They are. They are predators. They hunt.
But so are
for
dogs.
Sport. Not like
a longer
this.
domestication, a way longer domestication for the dog. The dog has been living by our side and being purpose-bred for a very long period of time. The cat,
And
arguably not the same.
And the dogs kind of selected us, if I'm remembering some of the
Correctly.
talks I've heard, right?
Yep.
There were certain ones that had certain genetic behaviors that aligned
friendlier
themselves
ones.
with. Yeah.
Yeah, and we picked
Crazy.
those and we bred those, and they meshed into our lives. And we asked cats to come into our lives, and they are
Or forced them.
Well, some maybe, but they are very different. And they're very unique, and they're very fascinating, and we still have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
A lot to learn.
Yeah, a lot to learn. It's I think when we think about research in pets too, I think we have to remember that while it's really important to do research on products that we're developing and new ingredients that we're going to bring in to feed them and whatnot, we still like. You come from the dairy industry. The amount that we know about the dairy cow
We've learned a lot.
blows like. If the feline nutrition world just juxtapositioned itself against like dairy nutrition, they'd realize how little we know. The other thing is that we don't have a ton of replication. Right. And all of these things are important. A single study never should stand on its own.
Right.
It has to be repeated. It has to be substantiated. It has to be done in a different experimental design. And we don't really have a ton of that in the cat. And so I think too, we need people thinking about what do we want to learn about cats that'll ultimately help us improve their health and well-being through whatever management technique we're doing that with. And of course, we're all nutritionists, so we're thinking about nutrition, but I don't deny that there are tons of things that we could probably improve about their environment with a whole litany of different specialists. Right?
Yes. Environment, the psychology, the colonization, understanding behaviors, all of those things are going to be absolutely critical going forward. And a lot of people, they hear the R word and they get, oh my gosh, research. You know, what I always tell a lot of the younger students when they start coming in to the industry and try and start getting exposed to research is, number one, you need to remember research saves animal lives too. And number two, this is how we are able to do things purposefully and not guess. And number three, there's a tremendous amount of review and questioning and answering over protocols before those are put into play. And so there's a lot of people looking at these studies long before we start feeding the cats.
And I think people just have the wrong opinion of what really research is, Eric. And
Sure.
right? They just don't know.
We've quit preaching and gone to meddling, but that's another podcast.
Can worms, boom.
Oh, yeah.
Totally agree. I was actually going to make that plug a little bit because in Ontario, the province that I currently live in, there has been discussion about banning dog and cat research. And one of the things we had to really quickly say is, listen, we do research on dogs and cats to benefit dogs and cats, and we have to do species-specific research on them.
Right. Need to understand them.
Yeah. Now, can we talk about, doing the best that we possibly can with research ethics? Absolutely. We should all be committed to that.
Yes.
And especially in dog and cat, just like we should be in human as well. Like do no harm is the foundation of all of our research approaches. But we still need a lot of data to make sure that we do maximize the potential to improve their lives. And by default, if we improve their lives, we improve our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. I got to tell you, that sounds like a great place to stop. I want to continue. This has been a great conversation. We designed this thing to be kind of a pub conversation, and it's been everything I expected. This has been a perfect pub conversation. In fact, we do have some drinks here.
Cheers.
Can't toast with water. It's bad luck.
This is true.
It's a red wine. I'm not sure what it is, but it's fitting the bill.
It's fine.
It's working. Yeah.
It's free.
Cheers.
It's free. Exactly.
Free.
We were all grad students one time.
Exactly. I haven't outgrown it.
It's trade show booze, so okay. Anyway, I want to thank you so much for joining us. If you guys wouldn't mind, kind of wrap it up for me just a little bit and bring us home. Eric, I'm going to start with you. Give me 1-2 things that the audience out there ought to take from this conversation. Dr. Altom, with the adoption of fresh, frozen, refrigerated meat-type products, there's a greater demand for pathogen control. Balchem's recently created a product called pH Control Systems. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so what we have been able to do within the PetSure brand and our pH control system is leverage our heritage understanding and unique processes of microencapsulation to deliver specific acidulants that can help control the pH of the finished product and help be a hurdle for pathogenic bacteria growth. This product enhances the texture, maintains the color, maintains and supports shelf life, and helps maintain shelf life while inhibiting the microbial growth of pathogen bacteria. This was originally developed in the human food sector, and so we have translated that from the meat science and human foods safely and effectively into pet foods, ensuring that it is both labeled appropriately and registered for use in pet and specialty pet products.
So organic acids have been used for a very long time to control pathogens in meat-type products. What makes this pH control system different?
The uniqueness of this is the microencapsulation and being able to control the release of that acidulant into the product over a period of time. Quick release causes changes in the texture, changes in the color, loss of moisture in your finished product or the meat batter. And by controlling this release, we're able to eliminate those aesthetics as well as the functionality of the protein breakdown. First of all, I think they ought to take from this conversation that there are some tremendous programs here in North America, specifically at the University of Guelph, that are committed to animal health and helping develop the next generation of technologists that are going to come into this international, what we call the international pet nutrition industry. And I'm very, very excited about that aspect. The other thing is the specialized research in what we're learning and learning new innovations and new nutritional truths about feline nutrition. And the last thing is we're not done yet.
Yeah.
As partners, as friends, as collaborators, we're not done yet. So
long way to go.
Those would be the three things that I would probably pick that I think people should know and write down.
Yeah. Great, Eric. Appreciate that.
Me.
Dr. Shoveler.
Yeah, he took most of mine. Let's see. Whoever listens to this podcast that knows how I can lobby to change the algorithms on energy density, phone me, email me. I would love that. That's not usually the work academics are doing, but I would love to champion that. I think we need to invest in learning more about the uniqueness of the cat. As flexible as the cat is, that is interesting in of itself. But as it grows as a pet, we need to understand it better. So we can really help those pet parents have the closest relationship that they can. And then last, I would just implore people to do some reading on cat behavior. Fascinating animal. And you can dive into everything from, you'll find it in animal behavior journals, but you'll also find it peppered across all kinds of journals. So learn about the uniqueness of the domesticated cat, the feral cat, and different wild cats, and think about what that means to your product development and how you're considering the natural behavior of those cats and the way that you manage them.
I love that. That's awesome. Anna Kate, you're a great guest. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been a lot of fun. It truly has been. I want to thank you for joining us. Eric, you're a great guest, great co-host. You don't come by often enough. You need to come to the pub a little more often. To the audience out there, I hope you had as much fun as I did. This has been a great conversation. I hope you learned something. Hope you had some fun. And hope to see you next time here at Real Science Exchange, where it's always happy hour. And you're always among friends. Cheers.
Cheers.
We'd love to hear your comments or ideas for topics and guests, so please reach out via email at anh.marketing@balchem.com with any suggestions, and we'll work hard to add them to the schedule. Don't forget to leave a 5-star rating on your way out. You can request your Real Science Exchange t-shirt in just a few easy steps. Just like or subscribe to the Real Science Exchange and send us a screenshot along with your address and t-shirt size to anh.marketing@balchem.com. Balchem's Real Science Lecture Series of webinars takes place on the first Tuesday of every month, with the top research and nutrition topics that will impact your business. We also include small ruminant, monogastric, and companion animal-focused topics throughout the year. Visit balchem.com/realscience to see the upcoming topics and to register for future webinars. You can also access past webinars and search for the topics most important to you.